Chosen one, there are moments in life when heaven grows strangely quiet, not because nothing is happening, but because something too heavy for ordinary words has been set into motion. You have sensed it, haven't you? That trembling in the air, that subtle shift in the atmosphere, when the laughter fades too quickly, when the eyes of the one beside you seem distant even while they are near. Your partner cannot stop crying, and you have told yourself it is stress, fatigue, perhaps a passing sorrow. Yet deep within, you know there is a deeper river flowing beneath the surface. Tears are rarely about a single event. They are the language of truths too large to speak. When a soul weeps without measure, it is often because a veil has been lifted. A document, yes, something written, something recorded, something undeniable, has revealed a truth, darker, heavier, more final than either of you expected. You see, we are fragile creatures when confronted with written truth. Spoken words can be dismissed, forgotten, reshaped to our comfort. But what is written confronts us with permanence. Ink does not tremble the way the human voice does. It stands, unmoved, and demands to be acknowledged. And sometimes, that demand wounds more deeply than betrayal itself. Chosen one, you must understand something profound. Tears are not weakness. They are evidence of love colliding with reality. When your partner weeps as though something sacred has been torn apart, it is not merely the document they are mourning. It is the dream that existed before the document was opened. It is the imagined future that now feels uncertain. It is the quiet belief that things were simpler than they truly were. There are truths that sleep peacefully for years, hidden in files, in signatures, in forgotten clauses. They wait. And when they awaken, they do not knock gently. They shatter illusions. They expose motives. They reveal intentions that were never meant to be discovered. The truth in that document is worse, not because it is evil in itself, but because it strips away the comfort of ignorance. You may feel anger rising within you. You may wonder why such a revelation had to surface now. Why not sooner? Why not later? But timing has a peculiar wisdom. Truth often waits until the heart is strong enough to survive it. Perhaps this moment, painful as it is not destruction but refinement. There is something sacred about the breaking of false foundations. It is frightening, yes. It feels like loss. But consider this. What is built upon illusion cannot endure. What is founded upon half-truths will always tremble. The document did not create the fracture, it merely illuminated it. Your partner's tears are the sound of trust recalibrating, of expectations being sifted through fire, of love being tested against reality. And you, chosen one, stand at a crossroads. You can turn away from the sorrow, or you can step into it with courage. For sometimes the greatest act of strength is not solving the problem, but remaining present while it unfolds. The truth may indeed be worse than imagined. It may expose betrayal, hidden debts, concealed intentions, or a future altered beyond recognition. Yet there is a strange mercy in revelation. What is hidden holds power over us. What is revealed, though painful, can be faced. Do not fear the tears. Do not fear the document. Fear only the refusal to confront what has been shown. For within this sorrow lies a choice, whether to let truth divide you or refine you. And perhaps, though it does not yet feel like it, this moment is not the end of something sacred, but the beginning of something honest. There are moments in life when heaven grows strangely quiet, not because nothing is happening, but because something too heavy for ordinary words has been set into motion. Silence, in such hours, is not emptiness. It is weight. It is the kind of stillness that presses against the chest and makes even familiar rooms feel unfamiliar. You may walk through your home and sense that the air itself has thickened, as though unseen hands have drawn the curtains across a once bright window. This kind of silence does not announce itself with thunder. It arrives gently, almost politely, and then refuses to leave. Conversations shorten. Laughter sounds forced. Even the ticking of a clock seems louder, as if time itself wishes to remind you that something irreversible has begun. And yet, nothing visible has changed. The furniture remains in place. The walls stand firm. But beneath the ordinary surface, foundations are shifting. We are often taught to fear noise, conflict, shouting, disruption. Yet it is silence that most often signals transformation. When heaven grows quiet, it is usually because a deeper work is underway. The soul senses it before the mind can explain it. You feel unsettled without knowing why. You search for reasons, for something tangible to blame. But the source lies beyond simple explanation. It is in this silence that truths gather their courage. Before a revelation breaks forth, there is always a pause. Before a storm, the wind stills. Before a verdict is spoken, the courtroom holds its breath. The quiet you are experiencing is not accidental. It is preparation. Something significant has been uncovered, and the world as you knew it is bracing for the impact. You may find yourself replaying recent days in your mind, looking for clues you might have missed. A glance that lingered too long. A sentence left unfinished. A door closed more quickly than usual. The human heart is remarkably perceptive, even when we try to ignore its warnings. Long before the truth becomes visible, we feel its shadow. There is a peculiar mercy in this stillness. Though it does not feel merciful, it grants you space to awaken slowly, rather than all at once. If revelation came without warning, it might crush you entirely. Instead, the quiet prepares the ground. It allows the heart to stretch, to widen, to ready itself for what must be faced. Do not mistake this silence for abandonment. When heaven is quiet, it is not absent, it is attentive. There are seasons when guidance comes in whispers rather than declarations. You are being invited to listen more deeply than before, not merely to words, but to what lies beneath them. Not merely to explanations, but to motives. Something has shifted. A document has surfaced. A truth has stepped forward from the shadows. And before the full weight of it lands, there is this sacred pause. It is uncomfortable because it demands honesty. It asks you to admit that what you sensed was real, that the unease was not imagination, that the quiet was warning you of change. In these moments, courage does not look dramatic. It looks like stillness. It looks like choosing not to flee from what you feel. It looks like standing in the silence and allowing it to speak. For silence, when endured, becomes revelation's companion. It teaches you to distinguish fear from discernment, panic from wisdom. You are not standing in emptiness. You are standing on the edge of truth. And though the quiet may seem heavy now, it is shaping you for what comes next. Tears are rarely about a single event. They are the language of truths too large to speak, emotions too complex to untangle in a la breath. When your partner cannot stop crying, it is tempting to search for a single cause. A sentence in the document, a clause, a signature, a date that changed everything. But tears are seldom so simple. They are not born from ink alone. They rise from the collision between hope and reality. We often imagine that strength is the absence of tears. We assume that composure equals control, and that control equals security. Yet tears are not evidence of weakness. They are evidence of depth. Only a heart that has loved deeply can grieve deeply. Only a soul that has trusted sincerely can feel the sting of disillusionment so sharply. What you are witnessing is not fragility, it is sincerity under pressure. When written truth confronts a cherished belief, something within us fractures. Not because we are foolish, but because we are human. We build quiet dreams around assumptions. We craft futures out of expectations never spoken aloud. We rely on what we think is certain. And when a document exposes a reality that contradicts those assumptions, the pain is not merely intellectual, it is existential. Your partner's tears may not even be fully understood by them. Grief does not always arrive neatly labeled. Sometimes it disguises itself as anger, then dissolves into sorrow. Sometimes it appears as silence, then breaks open in uncontrollable weeping. The heart struggles to process what the mind has only just begun to comprehend. There is a delay between knowledge and acceptance, and in that space, tears flow freely. There is also the matter of trust. Trust is a delicate architecture built over time through consistency and shared vulnerability. When a document introduces doubt, whether it reveals concealment, oversight, or an uncomfortable truth, trust trembles. Even if the revelation is not a betrayal in the traditional sense, it may feel like one, for anything hidden, anything withheld, challenges the sense of shared understanding. It is important to recognize that tears are not accusations. They are not necessarily directed at you. They are directed at the loss of what was believed to be secure, the dream of simplicity, the comfort of certainty, the ease of believing that everything was transparent and intact. When that dream dissolves, the body responds before the reasoning mind can intervene. You may feel helpless watching this grief unfold. You may wish to fix it quickly, to explain it away, to minimize its weight. But sorrow cannot be negotiated. It must be allowed its moment. Tears are part of the recalibration process. They are how the soul reorganizes itself around new information. There is something sacred in witnessing another's tears without turning away. It requires courage to remain present in the face of pain you did not intend to cause, and may not fully understand. Yet this presence is powerful. It communicates that even if the foundation has shaken, you are not retreating. Remember, the truth in that document did not create your partner's capacity to grieve. It merely activated it. The depth of the tears reflects the depth of care that existed before the revelation. And while the crying may feel endless now, it is not purposeless. It is the heart's way of washing away illusion so that whatever remains can be built on honesty. In time, tears give way to clarity, but clarity must be earned through feeling. And in this moment, feeling is the work that must be done. There are truths that sleep quietly for years, undisturbed and unchallenged, tucked away in drawers, hidden in files, resting behind signatures and formal language that once seemed harmless. They do not demand attention at first. They wait. Time passes. Life continues. Smiles are exchanged, plans are made, and the hidden truth remains patient, almost merciful in its silence. But patience should never be mistaken for absence. What makes a written truth so powerful is not merely the information it carries, but the permanence it represents. Spoken words can be softened by tone, reshaped by memory, or denied altogether. But what is written stands firm. It does not blush or hesitate. It does not attempt to comfort you. It simply declares what is. And when that declaration contradicts what you believed, the shock can feel like betrayal, even if no betrayal was intended. The danger of dormant truth is that it allows illusions to grow comfortably around it. You build your life, unaware that something foundational remains unexamined. You assume that what is unseen cannot influence what is lived. Yet, unseen things often shape us more than visible ones. A hidden clause, a forgotten agreement, an overlooked detail. These can quietly influence decisions, expectations, and trust without ever being consciously acknowledged. When such truth finally awakens, it does not ease itself gently into your awareness. It confronts, it exposes, it demands a reckoning. And the greater the delay, the greater the impact. It is not simply the content of the document that wounds. It is the realization that this truth existed long before you discovered it, that while you were building confidence in one direction, something else was quietly shaping the path beneath your feet. There is a peculiar ache that accompanies delayed revelation. You begin to question your own perception. How did I not see this? Were there signs? Did I ignore subtle warnings? The mind replays past moments with new interpretation, searching for clues that now seem obvious in hindsight. Yet, hindsight carries a clarity that present experience rarely offers. We cannot fault ourselves for failing to see what was deliberately or inadvertently concealed. Dormant truths also test the strength of connection. When something long hidden comes to light, it forces both people to confront not only the information itself, but the meaning behind its concealment. Was it forgotten? Avoided? Feared? Every explanation carries emotional weight, and sometimes the pain is less about the fact revealed and more about the years spent in partial understanding. Yet, there is something undeniably liberating about awakened truth. As painful as it may be, it ends the quiet distortion of reality. It stops the subtle imbalance that has existed unseen. While ignorance may feel safer, it is never stronger. Truth, once revealed, restores alignment between perception and reality. And though that alignment may initially sting, it ultimately creates the possibility for genuine stability. You cannot rebuild what you do not fully understand. You cannot strengthen what you refuse to examine. The awakening of hidden truth, though disruptive, offers an opportunity that silence never could. It invites transparency. It demands accountability. It forces both hearts to decide whether they will cling to comfort or pursue honesty. The document did not suddenly become powerful. It always held its weight. What has changed is your awareness. And awareness, though uncomfortable, is the beginning of wisdom. Now that the truth has stepped forward, you are no longer navigating shadows. You are standing in clarity, however sharp it may feel. It is better to face a difficult reality than to live gently deceived. And though this awakening may feel like loss, it may also be the first step towards something more solid than illusion ever was. Anger is often the first shield the heart reaches for when pain becomes too sharp to hold quietly. When the truth in that document settles fully into awareness, something within you may rise in protest. It feels unjust. It feels unnecessary. You may ask why this had to surface now, why the timing seemed so cruel, why the revelation could not have waited for a more convenient season. Yet anger, though powerful, is rarely the deepest emotion at work. Beneath it lies hurt. Beneath hurt lies fear. And beneath fear lies the trembling question of what this means for the future you once imagined. There is a particular kind of frustration that comes from disrupted expectation. You had a picture in your mind, clear, steady, reassuring. Perhaps it was never spoken aloud, but it guided your sense of security. When the document's truth interrupts that picture, it feels as though the ground has shifted without warning. Stability becomes uncertainty. Confidence becomes hesitation. And in that transition, anger can feel like the only solid footing available. But anger, if left unchecked, can distort perception. It can transform pain into accusation. It can turn confusion into blame. You may find yourself wanting immediate answers, immediate explanations, immediate resolution. Yet truth rarely offers instant comfort. It demands patience, reflection, and a willingness to endure discomfort without lashing out. The intensity you feel is not wrong. It is simply incomplete. It is a signal that something you valued deeply has been shaken. It is also worth considering that timing, however inconvenient, may not be accidental. There are seasons in life when we would not have been strong enough to handle certain revelations. There are earlier versions of ourselves who might have reacted with impulse rather than wisdom. Perhaps now, though it does not feel like strength, you possess a greater capacity for discernment than you once did. The very pain you have endured in past trials may have prepared you for this one. The truth has not arrived to destroy you. It has arrived to confront illusion. Illusions are comforting, but they are fragile. They request constant protection from reality. When they shatter, the sound is startling. Yet what remains after illusion breaks is not emptiness. It is clarity. And clarity, though uncomfortable, allows for decisions rooted in reality rather than assumption. You may feel tempted to retreat, to withdraw emotionally, to protect yourself from further disappointment. That instinct is understandable. When trust feels threatened, distance seems safer than vulnerability. Yet distance also prevents healing. If the document has revealed something painful, it has also created an opportunity for honest dialogue. Pain unspoken festers. Pain examined can transform. Courage in this moment does not look like dominance or control. It looks like restraint. It looks like choosing to listen before reacting. It looks like asking questions, not to accuse, but to understand. The storm within you may be loud, but you are not required to let it dictate your actions. You can feel deeply without acting recklessly. You can be wounded without becoming harsh. This revelation may indeed alter the path ahead. It may require adjustments you did not anticipate. Yet adjustments are not always losses. Sometimes they are corrections. Sometimes they redirect you away from instability you had not yet recognized. The discomfort you feel may be the very force that prevents greater harm in the future. In the midst of anger, remember that your response will shape what comes next. You cannot control the fact that the truth has surfaced, but you can choose how you engage with it. And in that choice lies a power greater than the document itself. There is a quiet crossroads that follows every painful revelation. It is not marked by loud declarations or dramatic ultimatums. It is subtle, almost invisible, yet it carries immense consequence. Once the truth has been revealed, once the tears have fallen and the anger has risen and settled into something heavier, you are left with a decision that no document can make for you. You must choose what this truth will become in your life. Truth can divide, but it can also refine. It can create distance, or it can carve a deeper channel of honesty between two hearts willing to endure discomfort together. The difference does not lie in the severity of the revelation. It lies in the posture you take toward it. Will you allow the truth to harden you, to build quiet walls of suspicion and self-protection? Or will you allow it to humble you, to open a space where transparency replaces assumption? There is a temptation, when wounded, to rewrite the entire past in light of the present pain. To assume that if one hidden thing existed, everything must have been false. But this is rarely the case. Human relationships are complex. They contain sincerity and fear, courage and avoidance, love and imperfection all at once. A painful discovery does not automatically erase every genuine moment that preceded it. It complicates them, yes, but complication is not the same as deception. At this crossroads, patience becomes your most valuable ally. Immediate decisions made in emotional turbulence often carry regret. The heart needs time to stabilize. Perspective returns slowly, like sight adjusting after stepping into bright light. What feels unbearable today may feel navigable tomorrow. What seems irreparable in this hour may reveal pathways to restoration once the intensity subsides. You must also consider the deeper purpose of truth. Truth is not merely information. It is alignment. It brings perception into harmony with reality. Though that harmony may initially feel discordant, it creates the possibility of building something that does not rely on illusion. A relationship that survives honest confrontation emerges different, perhaps scarred, but often starred. Stronger because it has faced reality rather than avoided it. There is strength in remaining present when leaving would be easier. There is maturity in listening when defending yourself would feel more satisfying. The document may have exposed weakness, oversight, or hidden fear. But exposure itself is not destruction. It is invitation. Invitation to speak openly. Invitation to clarify. Invitation to rebuild with clearer boundaries and deeper understanding. Of course, refinement is not automatic. It requires willingness from both sides. It demands accountability where needed, forgiveness where possible, and humility throughout. These are not simple virtues. They require you to confront your own pride, your own expectations, your own assumptions about how life should unfold. Yet growth rarely occurs in comfort. It is shaped in tension. The tears you witnessed were not only about loss, they were about fear of what might follow. But fear does not have the final word. You stand in a moment where the future is not yet written. The truth has spoken, yes, but your response is still forming. You can let this revelation define your relationship by its pain, or you can allow it to redefine your relationship by its honesty. What is fragile cannot endure scrutiny. What is genuine can. And now, with everything laid bare, you are given the rare opportunity to discover which is true. There is a quiet crossroads that follows every painful revelation. It is not marked by loud declarations or dramatic ultimatums. It is subtle, almost invisible, yet it carries immense consequence. Once the truth has been revealed, once the tears have fallen and the anger has risen and settled into something heavier, you are left with a decision that no document can make for you. You must choose what this truth will become in your life. Truth can divide, but it can also refine. It can create distance, or it can carve a deeper channel of honesty between two hearts willing to endure discomfort together. The difference does not lie in the severity of the revelation. It lies in the posture you take toward it. Will you allow the truth to harden you, to build quiet walls of suspicion and self-protection? Or will you allow it to humble you, to open a space where transparency replaces assumption? There is a temptation, when wounded, to rewrite the entire past in light of the present pain, to assume that if one hidden thing existed, everything must have been false. But this is rarely the case. Human relationships are complex. They contain sincerity and fear, courage and avoidance, love and imperfection all at once. A painful discovery does not automatically erase every genuine moment that preceded it. It complicates them, yes, but complication is not the same as deception. At this crossroads, patience becomes your most valuable ally. Immediate decisions made in emotional turbulence often carry regret. The heart needs time to stabilize. Perspective returns slowly, like sight adjusting after stepping into bright light. What feels unbearable today may feel navigable tomorrow. What seems irreparable in this hour may reveal pathways to restoration once the intensity subsides. You must also consider the deeper purpose of truth. Truth is not merely information, it is alignment. It brings perception into harmony with reality. Though that harmony may initially feel discordant, it creates the possibility of building something that does not rely on illusion. A relationship that survives honest confrontation emerges different, perhaps scarred, but often stronger because it has faced reality rather than avoided it. There is strength in remaining present when leaving would be easier. There is maturity in listening when defending yourself would feel more satisfying. The document may hitch. Ave exposed weakness, oversight, or hidden fear. But exposure itself is not destruction. It is invitation. Invitation to clarify. Invitation to rebuild with clearer boundaries and deeper understanding. Of course, refinement is not automatic. It requires willingness from both sides. It demands accountability where needed, forgiveness where possible, and humility throughout. These are not simple virtues. They require you to confront your own pride, your own expectations, your own assumptions about how life should unfold. Yet growth rarely occurs in comfort. It is shaped in tension. The tears you witnessed were not only about loss, they were about fear of what might follow. But fear does not have the final word. You stand in a moment where the future is not yet written. The truth has spoken, yes, but your response is still forming. You can let this revelation define your relationship by its pain, or you can allow it to redefine your relationship by its honesty. What is fragile cannot endure scrutiny. What is genuine can. And now, with everything laid bare, you are given the rare opportunity to discover which is true.